for saving me from so much of bother about an article which I did not write. But the fact was, what was written in that article was 100% true. And the article was all over the world and I was getting so much of hate mail, and at the same time an equal number, if not more, of fan mail. That was impossible till this beautiful lady wrote a note to me saying that this article of yours is very good, so give us permission to publish it. Then I said, I have not written that at all, how can I give you permission? But she did investigations to find out it was written by an activist in Bombay. We don't want to disclose his name. But that man in good faith put it on the internet. But somebody caught it and said, let us add this ass's name so that it gets some credibility. So they added my name. So that's how it all happened. And I was, sometimes misfortunes bring good luck. This was one of those. I was able to get to know this lady without having met her. And I found she was a very good human being. I like good human beings, irrespective of who they are, what level they are. In my university, I used to like, there was an attendant in that lift. He was the best human being that I had met. And I used to always like him. One day, for some reason, somebody didn't like him. They wanted to dismiss him. So the registrar's order dismissing him was on my table. So I said, why dismiss this man? So I summoned him into my office. Normally a peon is not supposed to come to the Vice Chancellor's office, and if he comes there, he'll shiver in his pants. So he thought he will get some real, mouthful of... So I told him, sit down. He said, no, I can't sit in a chair. I said, what's wrong? You are born like me. You will die like me. In between, why this difference? Maybe if you had the same opportunity that I had, you would have been higher than me. I am only a Vice Chancellor. You would have been probably the President of India. Who knows? Then he was still shivering. Then I said, look, if you don't sit in this chair, I will dismiss you according to this order. But if you sit, I might promote you. Then he sat down. Then I asked him, how did this get generated? Then he said how his colleagues who didn't like him working too fast, too hard, etc., created a lot of problems. Built a big fight. That's how it happens in organizations. Anyway, to cut the long story short, I promoted him. Even today, the university says he is the best person that they have in the university. Human, humane, compassionate, loving. What more do you want? So we want good people like Sucheta and all of you here. And I met her boyfriend today, another good human being. So, he's a nice, Basu is a nice man and he spoke so well about me. But all good people have good things to tell about others. So don't believe him. Don't believe him. Now all these people have come here to, why you have a problem. And the problem is, you are being schooled to believe that for every ill there is a pill. Right? Now if you read my article in the British Medical Journal, which can be got free on the internet, called There is no pill for every ill, but there is an ill following every pill. Did you get that? So don't be very, very enthusiastic in taking a tablet. A little while ago, I was lecturing at the Hinduja Hospital. And their highest person, Sri Chand's daughter, was in the audience. So she came and said, Doctor, you see, when you have a fever, that crocin gives you so much of relief. You say, do you think that we should not take crocin? I told her it's a very good thing, lady, because you are schooled to believe that there's a quick fix or everything. Now, fever is not your enemy. Fever is your friend. Fever becomes your enemy because you view fever as your enemy. You want to kill the enemy. Any enemy you want to kill, right? No. You use the body in Jesus Christ's terminology. Love thy enemy. You love fever. Nadkardi Sahab or Kekri Sahab or Pai Madam will tell you, there was a time when we were students, we were producing fever to treat syphilis. Syphilis was a dreaded disease then. It was killing people. And it was like today's, whatever you want to call it, big diseases. We used to call it as syphilis and gonorrhea, where the Surgeon General of the whole thing. And what we used to do as student,
boil milk from the milk vendor in the skin department and take it in a syringe and inject it to patients with neurosyphilis. Within about 5 minutes, that fellow will shiver, every muscle will shiver, and his temperature will go to about 106. And then it will come down. And it treats his. So, fever is a friend, and it is there because the body wants your temperature to go up to help it to fight. Nothing is done in this world without reason. But our reductionist reason, there is a cause for everything, cause-effect thing, is the biggest hoax and biggest false thing that we are made to believe that for fever there is a cause. This is very simple thinking because our forefathers used to think, when you get smallpox, it's the wrath of the goddess. If you get tetanus, the demon has hit you. If you get cancer, some other person. Cause-effect, they're right. Today's professor of medicine will come in the ward, he'll see a fever patient, and the registrar will say malaria negative, typhoid negative, but still he has fever, sir. The viral fever, very wise man saying viral fever, he has not seen the virus. That poor virus is blamed for everything. Suddenly in Japan, some years ago, Sujata, my phone has become alive. It was dead from morning, thanks to Bombay's connections. Now it's ringing, don't worry. Now I'm connected to the world. Now, there was Olympics in Japan. I don't remember how many years ago. Olympics in Tokyo. 2 years before the Olympics, a peculiar disease struck Japan. People became little paralyzed, they became blind, eventually died. So we didn't know what disease it was. So we called it as SMON, subacute myelooptico neuropathy, which is just to confuse you with Latin and Greek, that's all. It simply means you are blind, you are not able to use your leg, and you eventually die. Then government said, people will get frightened, they will not come to Tokyo for the Olympics because Olympics is business. Remember that, Olympics is not sport. Now no sport is sport now, it is business. And big gambling. So they thought billions of dollars will be generated and that will be lost.